If you have found yourself feeling frustrated because you're not losing enough weight, this video is for you. You have been doing everything right, tracking your food, paying attention to it, hitting your water, getting your fruits and vegetables, hitting your workouts, and you're not losing enough weight. If you've compared yourself to someone, maybe you saw Ashley or Kay and you heard about the 8 pounds that she's lost in the last couple weeks, it's easy and it's understandable to feel frustrated, to be like, what the freak? Like, what am I doing wrong? What's the point of even going? It feels like you should just stop and fucking restart. Something's not going, right? You kind of feel those frustrations start to set in. Here's the thing. You can only compare yourself to someone who is the same sex as you, the same age as you, the same job as you, has the same irritating spouse as you, has the same family as you, does the same amount of workouts as you, at the same intensity, at the same heart rate, does the same amount of cardio as you, and drives the same car as you, because you know, that's definitely an important factor. So pretty much you can never ever compare yourself to someone else because you just don't know all of the nuance to what they do on a daily basis, the interactions that they have, the mental health that they have, and exactly what's happening in their life. And so here's what you need to understand. When it comes to your weight is gonna be a pain in the ass, especially if you look at it every single day, because you're gonna notice it fluctuates so freaking much. And it's so hard to understand why. Like, if I am doing everything right, why does my weight go up the next day? It doesn't make sense, but it does. So your weight is comprised of more than just body fat. There's so many moving variables that your body is adjusting on a daily basis. We're talking about fat, we're talking about muscle, we're talking about just cells, we're talking about your organs, the content that's in your stomach, so the amount of food that you have, sodium levels and water retention. Did you drink alcohol? Did you have more of a higher carb day? Your menstrual cycle, if you're a lady, where are you at in your cycle? Are you a week out? Are you week on? There's just so many variables, and that's why, regardless of what you do, you will not be able to see your weight go down every single day. Imagine if you lost 1 pound every single day. In 100 days, you lose 100 pounds. How crazy does that sound? And how unhealthy does that sound? And so the reality is you can only lose a certain amount of weight because your body is not willing to give up too much weight too soon, because its job is to keep you alive. A lot of times people feel like because they are older, they're most likely gonna see very slow weight loss in comparison to someone that's younger. And interesting enough, there's been some research that's come out. And it was about 6,600 people in this study, from infants to 90-year-olds. And they tracked how many calories did they burn at rest. Now, this is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So this is just like daily functions, but this comprises of about 50 to 70% of the calories of your metabolism, how many calories you burn. And so what they found was very interesting, even surprising for me as I went and looked into this research, is that your metabolism hit its peak when you're an infant. And think about it. And that's why a big reason like infants have to eat so much so often is because their metabolism is churning and burning in comparison to their weight. And after that, up until the age of 20, their metabolism is actually decreasing 3% every year. And at 20, it starts to go into more of a normal range. So from 20 to 60, that's not even midlife. From 20 to 60, your metabolism is roughly the same. The output is roughly the same. And then when you get to 60, you start to see a 0.7% drop every year. 0.7%. It's not a lot. And so the things that do change a lot is not necessarily your metabolism. It's the loss of muscle mass. As you get older, you actually lose muscle. It's more easy to lose muscle. It's harder to put on muscle too. And that's why there needs to be a big emphasis on resistance training using weights and really emphasizing that muscle building process. you're not as active. As you get older, you get into your career, you have a family, you stop doing kind of those active things like going for those walks, going for a run, working out at the gym, playing a sport, whatever it might be. Those things start to slow down and other things take priority. And so what the research has shown in this specific study that was very recent is that, yes, there are changes that happen, but what we don't realize is that those changes happen sooner than we think from a metabolism standpoint and later than we think. But we really can't control that anyway. And just because that BMR is from 50 to 70%, there's still a lot more of your metabolism that you can control, like the thermic effect of feeding. So this is your selection of certain foods. If you eat protein, you're gonna burn off more calories than you would if you have carbs and fats. So that's why there's a big emphasis on having an abundance of protein in your diet. You can control how much exercise you do. So if you become a more active person and you're less sedentary, you're gonna actually burn more calories because your body needs to, you're requiring your body to do that, right? From movement. You can also control your, what we call NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So these are the people that like always are moving. They park further away. They find a way to make movement and activity a part of their lifestyle. A lot of it too is depending on your job. Like me, I'm a personal trainer. I get 15,000 steps just in a day's normal day of working. And so for someone who's sitting down at the desk, they're gonna not obviously get anywhere near the amount of calories that I'm gonna burn or steps that I'm gonna create just from my activity. So you're finding ways to improve your NEAT. And those things are gonna be the things that really move the needle. So when you take away all this information in regards to your age and you realize that, like, yes, your metabolism is gonna slow down at some point, but it's gonna take a while to get there. And all the things that I can control, if I put that in my grasp and I don't worry about the other ones, I can still see significant weight loss. And I assure you, we have many clients, many ninjas that are achieving significant weight loss. And the only thing that ever stops them up is when they start to believe that they can't do it. And that's when they let those habits creep in. That's when they let the off track just become more of a habit than it is being on track. And so stay on track. Believe that you can do it. You have the strategy. And if you don't, like, we're here for you to help you create that strategy. And then you just keep chugging along. You keep doing the things that make a big difference. In order to feel confident in your weight loss progress, you need to make sure you're not comparing your results to someone else, but you have a specific range that you're paying attention to. And that's why I recommend weighing yourself daily so you can look at your numbers and look at your weekly averages. So what you're shooting for is 0.5% to 1% of your weight on average per week of weight loss. So if you're 200 pounds and you're looking to lose weight, you should expect to see 1 pound to 2 pounds, because that's half a percent to 1%. You should look to see that on a weekly basis average. So that means over the course of a month, you should be averaging somewhere around that range. If you are, don't change anything that you're doing. Everything is going exactly how it should and you're moving at the right pace. What should you do when things are moving either, let's say, too slow? Because that's typically a problem that we'll see. I don't want you to make any changes until you see 2 weeks of your average being very off. And when that happens, there's 2 things that you can do. First is you can go into more of a deficit. So you can go into a 10% deficit to decrease the amount of food that you're intaking. If you're tracking calories, you're just gonna deduct 10%. If you are paying attention to your meals and you're being more intuitive, you're gonna find something in your daily routine that is about 10% of your calories so you can decrease from there. Now, if you are a smaller person, and let's say you're working with less than 2,000 calories in your deficit, it's gonna be hard for you to decrease your calories and still actually sustain the habit of like tracking it and paying attention to that deficit and staying within those numbers. So the second way to make progress and make an adjustment is by exercise, increasing the amount of steps that you're doing, adding another exercise day. And that's gonna be an approach that could happen for those that are gonna be under that 2,000 calorie deficit mark. Now, when it comes to making this change, you need to do one thing, not doing both at the same time, because you really want to measure what changes are working and still have ammunition to make adjustments along the way. So if you choose to decrease your calories a little bit, just decrease your calories. Keep your exercise exactly the same. If you choose to increase your exercise, don't touch your calories at all. And then keep it going. Test it for another 2 weeks and see what happens. That is how you play it for the long haul. That is how you pay attention to your expectations, and you have a roadmap so that way you can stay consistent.